Hey everyone, this is Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and today we're driving the 2022 Mini Cooper S. It's quite a unique spec on this car. It's finished in what they call rooftop gray, which is actually beige, which means this is a brown car that we're driving today, so exciting stuff there. Around the back we have the Union Jack on the taillights, even though the car is technically German, but it's still assembled in Oxford, England, so it has that going for it. Lots of Union Jacks around the car to remind you of the car's British heritage. I want to get to this roof straight away while we're standing outside of the car. This is called the gradient roof, and Mini will sell you this for the small cost of just $500. They call it gradient because it goes from like this sort of indigo blue purple color to like a light blue, and then that fades into black. Probably because they want to keep the spoiler black. You don't have to paint the spoiler any differently than they normally would. But anyways, that's the gradient roof. It's $500. I think it's kind of hit or miss. On this beige car, I'm not really sure I dig the look of it, but it's certainly very California. And it's even cooler if you don't have the moonroof, because obviously you have more gradient. That way you can see it a little bit better. In this instance, though, with the moonroof, I don't really know if it's worth it. This car also has the iconic trim pack, which is an $8,000 option. The wheels kind of look like cheese graters. If you get close to them here, you can hear it a little bit. I kind of want to grab a piece of cheese and see if it grates them. Also, for the 2022 model year, they've given it a facelift, and a buddy of mine saw the car yesterday, and he's like, that kind of looks like a goatee or like a handlebar mustache. And since then, I cannot unsee it. This little black trim strip that goes around the front bumper totally looks like this thing has a goatee. It's hilarious. But overall, lots of nice little quirky things that I'm happy that Mini is still doing. It's still a quirky brand, you know, they're still shooting for their kind of target market of people that don't quite want a Corolla, but also don't want to completely upgrade to something like a BMW X1 or X2. They want to be right here in the middle with a Mini Cooper. So let's go ahead and take this thing for a spin, see what it's like on the temporary Daily Motor test route. If you're not familiar with the channel, you know that we have a normal test route. It is still under construction. They still have not gotten that thing fixed. So as of right now, we're out in the countryside. We're going to take this Mini for a drive. Happy to report it's still offered with a 6-speed manual. How exciting is that? A 2022 model year car that still comes with a proper manual gearbox. Little toggle switch there. You can... Yes. You can push the toggle either up or down to start the car. Super cool that Mini has kept all of these toggle switches. I love some proper toggle switches in my car. They used to actually have the window buttons in here in the middle, but they've moved those now to the door panel, but that's okay. This also used to be a big speedometer on the first gen cars too. It's now right in front of you here, just like a normal cluster. With this being a manual transmission, we have to use the parking brake. Obviously, when you park the car, I guess you don't have to if you park it in gear, but if you park the car in neutral, you have to use the parking brake. And I don't think they thought of that because the parking brake touches the center console, which means to get a comfortable grab on the parking brake, you have to put the console back like so, then put the parking brake down, and then put the console all the way down for me to have a comfortable place to put my arm. Same goes for when you put it up, because obviously this is now touching here. When you put it up, it pulls the console up with it. So I also put that back when I pull the parking brake up as well. So a little bit of an oversight there, but it's really not that big of a deal. It's not bothered me too much. Inside the console we have a little mounting place to put your mobile phone. In fact, I haven't even seen if mine fits in there yet. Let's see. Nope, the answer is no. Mine's too big. Okay. Anyways, we've got some USB ports down here, normal USB and USB-C. If we look up, we see that we have a dual pane moonroof, which is pretty cool. You've got individual shades here. That's very bright. We're going to keep that shut. If you, for some reason, have passengers in the back seat, maybe someone without legs or a child, they can open their moonroof if they would like to, and you can keep yours up here closed, shielded from the sun. And yeah, everything in here is very like blocky and chunky. It's a very thick steering wheel, a thick gear knob, all of this stuff. It's all big sort of plasticky black material. It's not a bad thing, but with everything being kind of big and thick, it does feel a little bit small in here, especially when you're driving, going down the road. This whole situation is really something. And then way off to the side, there are little iDrive control thing is over here. You have to like dangle your arm over the console to use that. But all right, well anyways, enough of all that. Let's go ahead and take this Mini Cooper out on the road and see what it's like to drive. Before we set off, I am going to put the car into sport mode. This is how I've been driving this car all week. It seems to be just the most satisfying. It feels the most fitting for the car. Plus, it gives you automatic rev matching, which I quite like. I know a lot of people don't like the auto rev matching, but I don't mind it. I think that it's kind of a fun gimmick, and it makes you feel like a hero sometimes. Driving this car is a little bit of a learning curve. It's got quite a bit of rev hang in between gears, so you've got to get your footing just right to make sure you're not burning the clutch in between gears and holding revs and whatnot. But after like an hour, or not even, after like 10-15 minutes of driving this thing, you get used to it, and it's really not that big of a deal, especially when you're driving it in sport mode. It makes everything a little bit snappier, less lazy, and it's just easier to drive that way. Under the hood, we have a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4 that makes 189 horsepower and 207 foot-pounds of torque, which means this Mini Cooper can go from 0 to 60 in a touch over 6 seconds, which is about where it should be. It's right about in hot hatch territory, and it makes this thing feel adequate. It still feels like a Mini. It's not overpowered. The point of a Mini is never really to be overpowered or to be super fast, so I feel like it fits right in that sort of proper area of exact power where this car should be. Let's see if we can feel all 189 horsepower. Woo! I've activated cruise control. Or no, I haven't. I've canceled cruise control that's not activated. It's pretty quick. I would, if you were to ask me how much power this had, I would probably have guessed over 200 horsepower. So to think that it's just a touch under 200 is pretty impressive. Also, when you have the windows down, you get a super cool, satisfying blow-off noise, and you won't be able to hear it with this road service. But I shall mock it for you on the next time I shift gears here. All right, are you ready? That's what it sounds like, and it's excellent, especially when you're around lots of trees. It's got the windows cracked. You can make all kinds of satisfying boost noises, which is an important part of a manual transmission turbocharged car. You have to have a good blow-off noise, not a super loud one, not a super obnoxious Focus ST aftermarket blow-off valve type hideous noise like that. But it's cool to have something that makes you happy and makes you feel like a hero when you're driving your little manual trans car. And in this car, they have nailed that perfectly. This whole sort of central circle display has been carried on from each generation of Mini Cooper. In 2002, 2003, this was actually the speedometer as standard. You could option in a gauge package, which gave you dual gauges here right in front of the steering wheel. But most Mini Coopers, their whole gauge display setup was right here in the middle on this big circle. You had this huge speedometer, this huge needle that just went all the way around. It was super cool. And it's cool to see that they've sort of kept the inspiration from that. In fact, this is actually a rev counter. So if I drop it down into 4th gear here, into 3rd, you'll see that this turns white as I go. So that is still like a little gimmicky rev counter. So that's cool to see that they've kept that. In the middle here, though, we do have our infotainment, which is oddly narrow and long, or skinny and long, whatever you want to call it. We do have wireless Apple CarPlay, though, which is excellent. The actual Mini infotainment, it's a cool little relaxed screen. We've got our nav on the right, our entertainment here in the middle, which if I was playing a song, it would tell me what that was, and then it shows that I'm connected to Apple CarPlay on the left. We do have in-house navigation. It's just like iDrive, BMW sort of thing. We've got our settings for the car in here, also similar to BMW. Not as many customization options, of course, as something like a BMW X5, where you can change like literally everything in the car. But we do have plenty of things in here for you to get lost in: scrolling owner's manual, different sort of lighting settings, and all of that. Media communication. It's a very, it's almost nice because it's like a simplified version of BMW's infotainment, which is way too complicated. This is just sort of like a nice in-betweeny sort of infotainment, and I don't mind it. I've actually not had like any problems with this infotainment the whole time. It's very, very smooth. It's very quick. It hasn't frozen on me. CarPlay connects no problem every time wirelessly, which, being a BMW system, That is to be expected, so that's nice that they've kept that. Overall comfort of the Mini Cooper, it's not bad. It's about what I've expected, but from a ride standpoint, it's really not too bad. In fact, this car is quite a lot softer in every department than I thought it would be. The ride, the steering, the clutch, the shifter, everything is very soft, and in some situations that's a good thing. Like I just said, for overall comfort and daily driving, it's a very comfortable car. I would have no problem driving this. Granted, it would get a little bit cramped if you had other people or other things in the car with you. But if you're just driving somewhere by yourself every day, this thing would be great. But when you're coming into a corner or something and you expect the super nimbleness from the Mini, you get quite a bit of body roll, actually, way more than I was expecting, and it's not as satisfying as some of the older Minis. One of my good friends used to have the, correct me if I'm wrong, the R53. It was a 2005 Mini Cooper S, supercharged, 6-speed manual, and that car was solid. Everything in that car just had a very solid feel. The ride was stiff. The steering was, I mean, like, way faster than this steering. And it just felt like a proper Mini. It felt like what a Mini should feel like. And I suppose over the years, just with the changing market, changing cars, everything, it has gotten a little bit softer. But considering the niche market for this car, I think that they could probably still get away with making it a little bit stiffer. And I suppose if you do want something stiff, you could get the John Cooper Works or the John Cooper Works GP. But it would be cool to see a little bit of that in the S as well. But that's just my 2 cents. Most people that are buying this car probably don't really care. But I think, from my standpoint, I think that it would be cool to have this thing be like a proper little autocross weapon, you know? It's a pretty fast-reacting auto rev matching system. It's a little bit faster, actually, I think, than the system in the Civic Type R. It's almost like Porsche levels of fast reacting. It'll predict where you're going, actually, before you're even fully into the gear. So that's pretty cool. Down there in a second, flawless rev match, absolutely excellent. Yeah, see a lot of tire squeal there. You can get your gear changes quite smooth though once you're used to it. I was struggling a little bit the first like hour I was driving the car just because of the insane rev hang on this thing. Of course, we're being blocked by a Buick Encore. However, this road surface is a little bit sketchy, so I'm not too mad about it. Overall, this still is a fun car to drive, and I've been enjoying myself the past couple days. But I don't know that it's as fun as I was expecting, or as nimble, as stiff, as mini as I was expecting. It's not disappointing, but I guess it's a little bit of a letdown. I think the fact that this car even exists still is excellent. I'm dreading the day that Mini just like switches over to only making the Countryman, and then we have to all suffer with the giant Elephant Man Mini Cooper. So then, would I buy this 2022 Mini Cooper S? I think maybe. So the base price on this car is about 30 grand. With all the options on this one, it's like 37, 38. I don't think I'd want to opt for many of the options because I think in a car like this, they're just not necessary. I think close to 40 grand is a little bit ridiculous for a little hatchback like this, even though underneath it is a BMW, so that explains the somewhat high price. There are some nice materials in this interior. You know, you've got this nice chunky leather steering wheel, leather seats. You've got this nice dual moonroof thing. I think the idea of this car is better than the actual execution for the 2022 model year, if that makes sense. Because it's a fantastic concept. I've always loved the Mini. I will always love the Mini, no matter what, I think, unless it's a Countryman. But I'll always love the Mini Cooper, especially with a proper 6-speed. I don't dislike the car. It's like a 7 out of 10 for me. It could be better, it could be worse. I'm not upset. I have enjoyed driving the car, but it could be better. And BMW could make it better if they really wanted to. Alright everyone, and that is going to conclude our drive today of the 2022 Mini Cooper S. Alright, you know what time it is. Move this back, pull that up, put this back down, shut car off, put in gear. Whole sequence when you own a 2022 Mini Cooper. Alright, that is going to conclude today's video. Thank you all so much for watching me drive this Mini Cooper today. Let me know, is this gray or is it brown or beige? or neither? What color is it? As always, this has been Christopher Brower with Daily Motor, and as always again, drive on.